Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the very, 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 very late return of a Random Gamers Corner. So late that, well, not late, but more like it's been such a very, very long time that I almost forgot the title of the podcast right now. But if you've been a longtime fan and you've been waiting for a new episode, well, your I guess your wait is rewarded with a new episode where I finally feel like I have something to talk about. Well, I do have some things to talk about, but I feel a bit better talking about those kind of things with more planning, unless I have a person talking with me. But right now, this is one of those videos where, video slash episodes where I could talk about something full on without having to worry about looking like a fool. Well, I mean, then again, it's me. Well, if you're new here, hi, I am a fool. Before I remind everyone who forgot that I'm still a fool. But anyways, if you're wondering who I am, I'm Alejandro Ortiz, and I'm just a random person that just happens to love games, and whether it's just about indie games, AAA, so on and so forth. I'm not picky about any genre. I'll talk about whichever games, and I happen to also love talking about TV shows, movies, so on and so forth. You may see some of the older episodes where I would have my friends and I yap about random subjects here and there. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much like the quick summary of the video. Of the podcast that's been dormant for quite a long time. I feel bad about that, but here we are right now. Well, here I am right now talking to you all once more. And as you may see from the title of what I'm going to be talking about, it is Resident Evil Zero. And it's been a long time coming to be talking about the Resident Evil series once again. I think the last time I even talked about the series was when I spoke about what's it called was when I spoke about the Resident Evil Netflix series. Oh man, with my good friend Nick from the Friday Night Gamecast. You may catch some. You may catch at least one collaboration or two. No, two collaborations with them, I believe, where I spoke to Nick before, and also my other two friends, of course, Nathan and Mason, who are my co-hosts. But tonight it's just me, where because I think I am the only one that has played Resident Evil Zero from my co-host, my co-hosts, and I don't think I ever seen an answer from any of my friends say that they want to join in. So it's just me. So yeah, sorry. I know I gotta stop apologizing though, because people have still tuned in to listen to me yap everyone's ears off after all this time, despite especially after like a whole season where it was almost like just about myself talking. So no more apologies. It's just me. Sorry. Anyways, besides that, let's talk about why I will be talking about Resident Evil Zero. And it's because I decided that after the announcement of Resident Evil 9 being coming out next year, I figured, you know what? I want to do something. I want to play through all the Resident Evil games. And I thought it would be pretty cool to, of course, play through all the games of Resident Evil and some of the spin-offs too. So I figured, why not do this chronologically, at least from the timeline of how the whole series went on and on. Like instead of going like Resident Evil 1, 2, and then random game, it didn't do like little stops here and there, like where it doesn't make sense for the timeline. Because I know Resident Evil Zero came out after 1 and 2, of course. I think after 1 and 2. Anywho, it came out after some time of 1, but I thought I would like to play the game before 1, just so like it stays with the timeline, just so I won't get confused on how the events took place. So I'll eventually be able to talk about Code Veronica and so on and so forth. And yes, despite me having already played some of the games and I think talking about them before on the podcast, I will be making a return to talking about them later down the line. And I guess it'll just be like a little, what is it called, retrospective, or at least some reflection on playing those games once more, but now knowing more knowledge about the series. So Here we go talking about Resident Evil Zero. Actually, I think it would be a good idea to at least do like a little quick game summary of the game, just so like because I always feel like I flub er, um every game summary whenever I'm just doing it off. Well, I guess off the cuff, or no, not off the cuff, off script. When really I should be at least trying to read about what the story call. I mean, how the I don't know, Wikipedia and such describe it first before I start say my own thoughts. Let's see. Okay, the overview for Resident Evil Zero. It is a 2002 survival horror game and prequel to the original Resident Evil. It follows the STAR's Bravo team as they investigate unusual murders near Raccoon City in 1998. The team's helicopter crashes, leading to leading them to an overturned prisoner transport and a train called the Ecliptic Express, which is overrun by T-virus infected leeches. There, rookie cop Rebecca Chambers encounters death row inmate Billy Cohen, and that's, that's where it's at. But it's a lot more. Oh, sorry, there's a helicopter. Okay, I think it's gone. Um, so yes, we have like a very fresh recruit. I think it should. Yeah, it says recruit. Very fresh Stars member, Rebecca Chambers, like being the protagonist of the story. Well, at least a co-protagonist, and soon enough you'll be able to control the, as said, Billy Cohen. That, bruh. Sorry, do you miss these setters? I hope you all miss these setters because you'll be hearing more of these from me, as of course, especially if you're new here. Welcome to the stuttering. Anyways, you'll be controlling the death row inmate Billy Cohen as he and Rebecca must work together to get out of the freaking nightmare scenarios they keep finding themselves in, where out not like getting into too spoiler territory yet, but even then with just the train, things get more and more horrible, and as they try to continue to find a way to get out of the train, they also make some new discoveries as they explore more and more areas and find out a bit more secrets about Umbrella and also figure out like what who is the creator of all these creepy ass leeches, what kind of bioweapon is getting armed up to take over America and possibly the world, and just like who's behind all this. It is a pretty interesting it's a pretty interesting game. Like it's pretty interesting way to do like a little backstory of like what's going on before the first Resident Evil game occurred, and it also like just introduced me to Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen because I only remember Rebecca from playing as her in the Mercenaries mode. I believe for Resident Evil 5. I don't know if she was in Resident Evil 7's. No, Resident Evil. Yeah, Resident Evil 6's mercenary mode, but I do remember seeing her in some of the movies, the animated ones at least. I haven't seen the live action ones, though I don't know if the live action ones include Rebecca as well. But so that's my main knowledge of Rebecca in the series. But for Billy, I just didn't know anything about him. I didn't know he existed until I played this game. So I now realize like he's one of the few characters that just don't show up again in the series as much as people would love to see, like Barry. And I'm pretty sure I'll be learning more about characters like him as well. So let's talk about the gameplay. In this game, you switch between Rebecca and Billy. And at first, I'll have to admit, I was very frustrated by this experience. I was so frustrated. I was not liking the feeling of needing to switch between characters in order to progress through whatever level I'm dealing with. So that was not a fun experience at first. I was getting a bit agitated, was feeling like this is annoying, like I'm managing the inventory between two characters. Like it didn't feel, not like saying that it didn't feel easy to me, but it felt like a hassle to deal with. So for and because of that, I just did not have a good time with doing all that. So yeah, it was not a great first impression for me, but as time went on, I have gotten better at managing between two protagonists, and I realized like, you know what, it was starting to feel a little fun. And thankfully, I did not have to wait until like I was like almost almost near the end of the game to feel like I was having fun. No, thankfully, it was more like near the end of the the train section, which was like the first level, I guess the first-ish level. Like that's when I was like, okay, I'm getting my stride. I'm starting to get a feel for like di differentiating on how I use these characters. And I thought, you know what? Okay, I like this. Like this is a cool little system. Like makes me care about the characters in different ways. Where for Rebecca, I didn't want her to go to the front of the line trying to be an attacker. Like I want her to at least hang back with her pistol, be sure to shoot off any zombies, of course, and of course, her inventory would be more a bit more free range, where she would be able to carry some key items or have some healing items, so on and so forth. I just want her to be like not a jack of all trades, but I guess just very flexible with what she does. However, for Billy, I wanted him be to be more offensive, to be carrying the pistol, to be carrying the shotgun, to be carrying whatever strong weapon I could find. I wanted him to be doing that. I wanted him to be a menace to the zombies. So, and I believe he is supposed to be a tankier character than Rebecca. So because of that, I had him be more in the front while she was behind him whenever their combat scenarios happened. However, of course, just because that sounds like a really neat system, there is always the little clunkiness where your teammate won't. I mean, your the AI teammate won't start shooting at the zombie unless they're like already biting your neck off, or you have them blocking a doorway. But I do have to show some what's it called? Admiration. Yeah, let's call it admiration because I don't know the right word, but I admire the fact that they let you control the other character somewhat. Like in a basic function, like you could control them moving around by themselves with the right analog stick. Where like if they're in your way, you could just move. You can move the right analog stick so that they could just get out of the way for you. So that way you don't have to feel like you gotta switch between the character each time in order to move them out of the way, which is like a bit of a good way to like relieve a headache. And another function that I do appreciate for the switching between partners mechanic is just for the fact that it helps with puzzles as well that is required for you to like have two people working together. So it has its uses other than just like oh, it's required for you to like move to the story by having you use your teammate, but it's just like your teammate is good overall. Where it's nothing too difficult. The game is I feel did well with the switching mechanic. Then we have, well, why did I say it from this point on? Because you have the switching mechanic. You have, of course, the combat. Oh well, for anyone that's new to the game, I should mention this then. You do have the fixed cameras, so you enter one room, the camera angle switches out into a different angle where it's fixed, so that you can't rotate it whatsoever. And if you don't like games like that, then I'm unfortunately to tell you this that you are forced into that type of camera situation. And the tank controls um, aren't as strong as the very very old games. So I feel like I did not have much of a headache when it came to moving characters around. But there, of course, there are the times where it feels like I was just having a headache with the fixed angles, which you just get used to it over time. If you're like, it's not your first rodeo with playing horror games with fixed angles. So if you're new to it, you might complain about it a bit more than the usual player. But if you're used to Resident Evil games, or and you haven't played this one, or you're used to playing fixed angles type of games, then this should be no different for you. This shouldn't be too big of a problem. Combat is fine. You, of course, you got your weak weapons, which, well, not weak weapons. You got your pistols. You also have your knives. You have your shotguns and such. Sometimes, some weapons do take up two slots instead of just one. So, but one of the things I find fun about Rebecca is that she can make Molotovs, which means that you could find random bottles and find some random gasoline tanks, mix them, and you can make Molotov cocktails, which is great for throwing at zombies, but also throwing at specific enemies that are actually I can get into that real soon. Some enemies that are much more bullet spongier or more bullet spongy can't be. Anyways, other than like trying to be great at words. So that's another fun thing about Rebecca is that she can mix Molotov cocktails. And for since I mentioned like web enemies that are like bullet spongy, the enemy variety is surprisingly pretty good. At least to me, I felt like it was very interesting because I'm already used to enemies. I'm already used to zombies. I'm used to human characters turning into very crazy looking BOWs or the bioweapons forms where they look like demons from another dimension and such. So already used to that kind of thing. And of course, I'm already used to like wolves, like Resident Evil 4 wolves. But the fact that there was a lot of mutated insects and such in this game was a bit of a surprise. Like I'm not used to the bats. I'm not used to big chrysalid insects. I don't know what type of insects they were, but they were like very big. If you play Resident Evil 4, you will remember those insects that look like crazy as grasshoppers on steroids that will be flying around trying to kill you. But it's kind of like that in this game as well, but they don't fly around, or at least they didn't fly around for me. But yeah, you have a bunch of insects variety going on, other than just like the zombies you deal with in the game. You also have like these not mini boss fights because they're boss fights in their own right. But you have these boss fights that also occur where they're just like freakishly large insects or freakishly large animals. And I found it was pretty good variety. I didn't feel like I was just like, oh my God, I'm just facing the same thing over and over again. Like it was good overall. I really enjoyed this game. Really, I felt like, yeah, I just didn't feel like I was facing the same copy paste kind of creature, unless it was a special type of monster that is bullet sponge. But I think the reason why they made it where like oh they have variations like only the colors is just so that you can know like what you're going up against and just so you won't feel like you gotta be smart. You can't just use the basic weapons that you're used to, and like you gotta change up by using something with fire, or if you get the grenade launcher, you could use acid grenades, which is pretty damn scary by itself. Or of course, you could also use napalm grenades as well. But like this game had plenty of weapon variety. I really liked it, and other than weapons and enemies, I thought the story was pretty I thought the story was pretty good. I thought it was pretty okay. Like it's not like groundbreaking and such, but I thought it was a cool way to like explore these two characters. No, ugh, I'm sorry to say this, but for Rebecca, I think this is it's a good way of showing like Rebecca's um she felt like a bit naive at times. She was still felt very tough. However, I do this like how I think she kind of got into a form of being a damsel in distress, and I was like, oh, this that sucks. I don't like seeing her in that way since she's a protagonist. But then again, uh, I'm not gonna say like, oh, big spoiler moment, but I just remembered that Billy sort of gets sort of a sort of the same treatment at least in one instance. So I can't say that. Oh, you know what? Never mind. Yeah, shut me up. Now my memory's like telling me, hey, wait a minute, you're forgetting this. they're both equal in their own way. Like the screen time for both characters was pretty well done. So again, Rebecca, I say that I feel like, yeah, we're just like a bit of a protagonist that is just learning about things that's going on with the Resident Evil universe, so at least with who's behind some certain things and so on and so forth. However, for Billy, we sort of like learned the complexity about him, which I will get into once I finally feel ready enough to go into the spoiler territory. But Billy was not just going to be like a simple guy that was just like, oh, he's just a creep. He just hits on Rebecca and that's it. Like he was more complex than that, and did appreciate this character. I wish now I'm like over here wishing, wow, I wish we sort of like got like another iteration where he shows up and helps out protagonists and such, because he seemed like such a cool character to like dive into more. But uh, well, I don't know how long that'll take since again, Resident Evil does have some characters where they just won't show up at all. Even in mercenary form, they will not show up. So that's not fun. But beyond that, the enemies for this the main enemy of this game, I feel like okay, I'm learning. Actually, no. Wait. Sorry. I'm thinking too fast. The main villain. He is a scientist that just happens to have gone crazy, where he just wants to be doing his own experiments. And as time goes on, you realize like how the facility you visit later on after the train. That's all I'm gonna say. Like beyond that, for non spoilers. But you learn how this what happened to this facility, why it's so abandoned of human beings, at least normal human beings, yet filled with so much terrible creatures. And you soon learn like why it is the way it is. Why and sort of like if you're focusing on the files of the game that you find throughout the story, you realize how crazy this guy is, and sort of just like okay, yeah, as much of a menace Umbrella is to society in general, it helps gives you a bit more perspective on how unpredictable some of the leaderships and just the characters in charge are in their group. So that's pretty good stuff overall. And I guess to say like my rating for this game, like it controls well, that's for sure. I thought the permanent mechanic was wonky at first, but the more you get used to it throughout the game, the more you realize you can have fun with it. And I just have my moments here and there where I feel like, oh, okay, like Billy's the strong guy, like he'll be the meat shield for Rebecca whenever she's like low on health. Rebecca will make sure to be the damn best medic possible to be there for her, to be there for Billy, and make sure that both can get to the end without losing a limb. Like I had a good time with that story. It was easy for me to understand. I enjoyed the lore that I read about, and kind of made me like, maybe realize a bit more like, oh, okay, so Umbrella's not as stable as people would like as Umbrella would like people to believe they were. So there's that. And that's a good little thing to learn. And other than that, um, I just thought it was a good game overall. Like it did its job. Was it something to like be groundbreaking stuff? No, not really. But I still felt like it was a really good game, and I would recommend anyone to play it because I feel like it now like I'm getting a perspective on like how much talk it gets compared to other entries. I feel like it's a bit overlooked. So, have you ever been curious about playing the game? I say give it a shot. You may be frustrated at the partner system at first, but I say it's worth uh, learning it and having fun with it than giving the game up overall. Just because like there's plenty of good stuff here and there, and even after you beat the game, there's two cool modes that I'll get into after once I get into spoiler talk. And yeah, I think I'll have to give the game 8 out of 10. Like, it works perfectly. I didn't experience any glitches, no bugs. I'm playing the PS5. I don't know if that helps with the performance, but yeah, I had no problem with it. It played perfectly well. Of course, camera angles, that's a thing of its time, and also that's a thing of like the intention of the game. I'm not gonna complain about the camera angles because that would be just weird of me. Uh, yeah, I have fun with the game overall, and I feel yeah, others should try it out as well. I'm not gonna try to sell you like a whole car here and there. No, it's just like this game was very fun. I recommend it to you. Definitely check it out, especially if you're a horror fan, Resident Evil fan that haven't gave it a chance yet, and just cause overall. So that'll be it for the non-spoiler part. Now we do have the spoiler section where I do want to talk about. Well, let's go back to the two modes just so I could talk about it while I try to remember the other things I want to talk about. Oops, that's bad of me. But the Leech Hunter mode, I thought that was pretty damn fun. Just like where it's a mode where Rebecca and Billy once again are going to the facility, but this time like they are searching for these leech figurines throughout the map. And it's strictly within the facility. I mean the training facility map. So you don't have to feel like you're gonna have to explore through all the different levels and sections of the game. It's just that map, and it was pretty good overall. Though, if you're going to be playing it for the first time, I do recommend for you to clear out the entire map before collecting the leeches because each leech collected, you cannot drop them. They take up your inventory space permanently until either that you finish the end of your run or you die. So don't be like me where I collected every leech that I could find along the way and end up only having two slots available for each character. No, I think only one slot for each character left. Where despite having still having some enemies to deal with in order to get to the last leeches, which that was a very interesting high pulse type of thing to do. Like that was an accidental challenge on myself. And there's this other mode called Wesker mode, where after you beat the game, you get to control Albert Wesker himself, which I thought was pretty cool because you get to have his ability where I guess you can hurt enemies with a stare. I didn't dive into the mode, but it's there, so yeah. But there's also the second ability where you can dodge or cover great distances, as Albert Wesker is very quick. So pretty cool stuff. Now for like the story stuff that I want to dive into because now I remember what I want to talk about. I thought this game was interesting with showing the scientist like how he was just uh, brilliant, but slowly started getting a bit crazy with experimenting, where he was experimenting on new cadets, and over time, like people started like getting suspicious, like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Well, you got to quit that." And he would start killing them, experimenting on them, so that way they won't be so that way he won't get found out, which I thought was really crazy. And just the fact that well, the fact that he created such an effective bioweapon that it was going to be a threat to anyone else that's not him, even Umbrella included, was just like a crazy thing. Like I'm not used to like Umbrella people like betraying their own that much. Even though I probably should have expected at this point, considering how much I played the series. I was just thinking like, damn, this guy is crazy, and yeah, just I just thought the villain was pretty damn well written, with just like showing like how crazy he is, how Umbrella's peoples aren't as reliable to each other as they would like to think, and yeah. Then we got what else I want to talk. Well, oh, for Billy. now to talk about Billy, do wish that he would get brought up in other games because there's potential for this character, especially if like there was a redemption arc for him in the end where because um if you're interested in learning the spoilers, then I guess feel free to stick around. But seriously, I you should have left when I said spoiler warning. But anyways, for what I found interesting was just the fact that he was a dishonorably discharged soldier, but also, of course, he was also like a prisoner of war. Well, no, not prisoner of war, but just like he was treated as this corrupt soldier that needs to be put down or at least imprisoned just because he didn't want to kill off a village of people. And it was just like, oh, we were just following orders, but like I didn't vibe with that. Like he was the one that got knocked out and imprisoned by the crazy people that decided, like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we got follow orders. We need to come back with something. We need to kill off all these villagers. Like that was just crazy. So he just has that dark, disgraced past where like he most like it felt like he feels responsible for those people, even though that wasn't his order to do nor carry out. And he probably felt useless that he let all those his fellow soldiers uh, carry out that command and is now like treated as an outlaw or just a criminal in general to his own country that he was trying to serve. So that has to leave like a deep scar in his heart right there. So the fact that in the end that Rebecca would say that he was killed in action, he couldn't be found, and the way that they both saluted each other at the end. Oh man, that was just amazing. I loved it. Like some people might see that cheesy, but I thought that was great. I thought like finally someone sees him for like the person that he actually is, not the person everyone else will try to make him out to be. And I thought that was pretty cool. And again, would love to see him return in a future entry. But I think we need a new spin-off entry where, I don't know, make a Resident Evil Revelations 3 where we get Billy and Rebecca. Oh, maybe we can get some other characters to come back in, like Sheva and Barry. Like, Barry's like, oh, one more mission. I got it in me. Sheva's kind of like got became a bit more international with being an operative, stuff like that. Billy, he's on the run still, but he took up a new identity and such. But now they now know who he is, and now it's up to him in a matter of time to show to like try to survive whoever's trying to hunt him down, or his name finally gets cleaned out by Rebecca for all the research she did to like help him with his situation. I don't know, stuff like that. I feel like that would be awesome. You know, yeah, come on, Capcom, make a Resident Evil Revelations 3. That would be perfect. Now, for the last thing I want to say is what's the last thing I want to say? Let's see. I guess I just want to say oh, I think the last thing I can talk about is the levels. Whether I enjoyed them or not. Which I did. I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed each had their own different had something a little special about them, except for the facility map. That one was very short. Wait, no, was it the facility or? Uh, well, it was the second to last section. It was the second to last level map where it was very short and it was kind of like it was like a very short, not like a actual bridge, but like a technical type of bridge between what's it called? The facility? No, the testing facility and lots of facility talks. I'm pretty sure I'm getting this so much wrong. But between the laboratory and the final area, Jesus, man, I can't believe I forgot this damn section area. Oh, hold on, let me check. Let me check like how many levels there are in this game. How many levels? And RE0. Yeah, the factory was the one that was kind of like meh to me. It was just a, it was just um, such a short bridge between the laboratory and the treatment plant. Okay, there we go. So for the factory, I'm just gonna say this. It was just like whatever. It was just like a short bridge for which Rebecca has to cross to like try to look for Billy as he went missing. Other than that, that's all I'm gonna say is just like okay, we just go from here to there. Along with the appearance of one character that I probably won't know about until I play Resident Evil 1 a bit more to see if he like randomly shows up like, oh yeah, I'm from Bravo team, but yada yada yada, and go from there. But anyways, the train level. It was a creepy way to start off, um, you know, the whole journey where, okay, we're stuck on this train full of zombies because if we're to like be anywhere else, we're screwed. We cannot be outside. We had to stay in this train. Unfortunately, this train is full of zombies, and at least one I was going to say rat scorpion like Fallout, but one fucked up looking scorpion thing. So we had that kind of mess going on. I thought the train was a good pacing of slowly learning how to use the partner function between Rebecca and Billy as you switch between the two, so that way you can open up the whole section of the train, but also um, yeah, just get the ball rolling. Just to get the ball rolling, get the story moving forward, and trying to figure out like what to do for each thing. And now we have the training facility, which was I felt I at first I thought that was the mansion. It was not the mansion. It was just a training facility where the Umbrella cadets get trained at, and that's where it was like different rooms, different places to go search through to try to find each access point to like your typical Resident Evil where you just find things like to progress the story, learn plot points, learn files, learn about like what's going on for each just finding out the lore behind the facility, the main baddie, and also just go away to like show some tension of like Rebecca and Billy fighting for their lives as they're trying to escape from this nightmare, but also trying to like put a stop to the leech hunting. I mean the leech monster thing. Then we get to the laboratory where we find out how they all the experimenting has gone on, where this guy was experimenting on animals like plants and also like how he develops his leeches, like how much progress, how long it took him to finally get to the point where he can control his leeches, or they at least recognize him as their leader or some kind of thing, but eventually overtake him, as we know, at least the ones who played this game. And also just like get an idea of like how where all his testing has gone on, because it was just sort of messed. No, it was messed up. Just like know that these are I think one thing that we sometimes forget in Resident Evil, most of the creatures that you face in this game, and just the games in general, most of the creatures that get overtaken by the viruses are victims themselves, are not just like being malicious about it when they're like trying to kill you. It's just that the virus has taken over them, and there's nothing more they can do about it. And the least you can do is mercifully kill them off, or find an antidote to fight back the virus. And still, I mean, those freaking monkeys, man. I really dislike those freaking monkeys. But also, it opens up. I believe the laboratory was also where it makes you realize, like, okay, you gotta fight a bit more smart. You have to start mixing whatever canisters and bottles you can make to make the Molotovs. Because if you don't, you really gotta have some really good weapons by that point, where you just have what's it called? Yeah, where you're supposed to have a good variety of weapons in your arsenal to like burn the more advanced zombie where they're like unfortunately naked, but also like they're different color like green and they will be harder to take down until you get to the proletariat, which is like also very scary unless you already have plenty of napalm grenades in your arsenal, which Thank goodness for Billy for pulling through with that one. And of course, we already know about the factory, but I'm skipping through with that one. As I already mentioned, it was just like a short bridge between the laboratory to actually get into the last place, which is the treatment plant, where you had to explore once more to look, other than looking for Billy, but also to look for looking for the looking for a way to make a battery in order to progress, making making a path to getting out of the treatment plant and just out of the training facility location in general in order to finally escape and get back to society, where you had to fight all probably the strongest creatures there, and also just for the last fight, I thought that last fight was a pain in the ass. Where I had so much of my ammo like ready to go, like I made sure to collect whatever I could, and it was still like a tough fight. And I enjoyed that. I'm glad it still provided a good challenge. Obviously, just because I had all this good stuff, it does not mean that I'm able to kill off the monster by myself without because if you played, of course, the boss is I guess in quotes indestructible until the last part where you're supposed to kill off with the sunlight. So using all the napalm grenade, acid grenades, and all whatever uh, weapons I had in my arsenal, still pretty damn tough. Still pretty damn tough to take down the Leech Queen, as it was called. And other than that, I thought I enjoyed the game overall. It was a really good time, and I find that this was a cool way to this felt like a great start to playing to binging the Resident Evil series. So who knows? Maybe the next episode I'll either be talking about whatever random subject I could finally talk about. Well, who knows? Maybe the Superman movie. I that one's still fresh in my mind. Either talk about that or something else, but we'll get to that point. But either we talk about that or I talk about the next Resident Evil game that I'll be playing, which is Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut. Yes, the Director's Cut. I want to play the OG version, not not the remake. I want to get through the original timeline first before I touch anything that has the word remake or such related to it because I just felt like I need to do that for myself in order to understand the timeline, at least understand most of the timeline because as people have said in the past, there's a point where you I think there's just some points where the series has gone on so long that it's sort of hard to tell what were the proper canon events at this point. And honestly, I can't blame Capcom for that because I guess they wouldn't have thought that this series would have gone so big as it did. That and it's sometimes like for as many games has been going on, especially with the spin-offs, there's bound to be some mistakes or some story points where have to realize, ah, shit, we sort of like messed up that one, or that was not consistent with that timeline or that year. So I I'll let that I could understand that. I could let that slide. I'm not gonna get mad about that. But I still do want to get to the original timeline. And thank goodness I already finished Resident Evil Zero, where Resident Evil 2 and 3, the original ones, are now available to play on the PlayStation Store. So I'll be getting to those soon enough. But first, Resident Evil 1 will be had to be taken care of now. So yeah, to end this video, to say thank you to whoever's watching or listening. If you're still listening to this point, thank you for sticking around. And for anyone excited to hear about my thoughts on the future Resident Evil games, hey, feel free to comment below what you feel about each entry or comment what was your most favorite entry out of the series. So be sure to do that. And hey, thank you for sticking around. It's much appreciated that you all are still. If you're still like coming back to listen to Random Gamers Corner, I thank you. It's much appreciated, and seriously, that makes me feel the love whenever some people are still listening to this old podcast that's definitely dormant as hell and should be dead on arrival whenever a new episode comes out. Because Yeah, that's on me for not trying to at least keep the podcast alive. But hey, we're still here. I'm still gonna try to make this podcast work. Thank you for listening, folks. Bye bye. And if you're listening to the YouTube version of the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. Bye bye, everyone. Peace out.